Here's another old vintage piece of equipment which is still very much in use today. This is in the spare room, and when we have guests stay, quite a few of them like to use the Teasmade. It's not something I personally use, but there are quite a few people who stay with us who do enjoy using it and would be very upset if I got rid of it. So I've kept it going. The only modification I have made to this machine is I did disable the buzzer. What it'll do is it'll make the tea and everything, light comes on, and then it should have a buzzer. But because the sound of the kettle is so loud, the buzzer really isn't necessary, and you can't really adjust it to an acceptable level. It's just quite a loud buzzer, so I have just disconnected the buzzer. It could easily be reconnected, but we find it just fine without the buzzer connected. So if you're not from the UK, you may not be familiar with a Teasmade, and I'll just go through what it does. This is quite nice, this one, because I actually have the little matching tea set that you could buy as an optional extra. It's a Royal Albert set, silver maple bone china, with 2 stainless steel spoons, milk jug, sugar basin, and 2 fine bone china cups and saucers. So what you would do with this is you have a function knob. There's light, auto, and tea now. Well, tea now just activates it without you having to wait for the alarm to go off. Auto is the alarm, and then light puts on these 2 lights to illuminate everything, so on a grey winter's morning you can see what you're doing. And then off just turns the tea making facility, the kettle off, and the light and everything off. So what I'll do is I'll put it on automatic, and I will advance the time. This is in the main synchronous clock. There's a little window there which you may or may not be able to see, a little thing going around just to let you know it's working. So I've got this got it set for 6 AM. We'll pretend it's morning, and we'll just hear this. There we go, it's triggered there. So I think that alarm is set for something like 5 to 6. What we'll do is we'll come back. I'll just pause the video. I've got my milk and everything in there, and I've put my sugar in there, and there's a couple of tea bags in the teapot. I think the actual quantity of this is designed for 2 people to have a cup of tea in bed, but I think they could probably realistically drink 2 cups of tea each. So the teapot, which is here, has the capacity to hold a cup of tea for like 4 cups. Just about here, the kettle there. This works on a weight switch, so when this is full of water, it compresses a micro switch, little weight switch, which then means that the heating element can warm up. And I think there's a little safety button underneath the teapot, so that if the teapot isn't in place, it can't pump out boiling water. This is just a siphonic under pressure, so the pressure is which is why this has got a screw top. So when the water boils, the pressure is forcing it through the nozzle into the teapot. The kettle then gets lighter and disconnects the heating element, turning on the buzzer and the lights, although in this case the buzzer has been deactivated. But we'll come back once the kettle starts boiling a bit more, or starts kettling a bit more. Well, we're back, and the kettle is making a lot more kettling noises, so I don't think it'll be too long now before it starts to siphon into the teapot. I think it's starting to do a bit of a boil now. It's quite noisy, which again is another reason I was asked if I could disable the buzzer, because the sound of the kettle boiling in the early hours of the morning really is enough to wake you up. I had just a kettle version of one of these in my last year of high school, which I found very nice to have a cup of tea before I went to school, and I did almost a similar thing. The sound of the kettle would basically wake you up. the buzzer wasn't needed. They did even FM radio version of these, so you could actually wake up to the radio. Well, that now is the sound of it pumping into the teapot, which we might be able to see filling up. Yes, it's pumping into there. As you can hear, this is the noise that would wake you up. You'll hear the tilt switch when the kettle gets light enough, and that will put the lights on. There we go. So now the kettle is empty, and now there would be a buzzer sounding, and you'd have to click it to light, which would turn the buzzer off but leave the lights on. So if you remember, the alarm was just set a little bit before 6, and it's basically spot on time. So they've even calculated it to how long it takes to boil, so it doesn't wake you up, you know, before time. You would wake up before time anyway, because the sound of the kettle pumping into the teapot's very noisy. But it's just nice that they thought to do that. This little tray comes off. It's just on there at the minute too. But yeah, you've got this nice little tray so you can carry it once you've made your tea. We shall give the tea a stir in the pot. Probably would have had loose tea in originally. Obviously everything's tea bags now. Should really pour the milk in first, you know. Yes, there we go. There's a little switch there so that it won't pump boiling water if the teapot isn't engaged. I don't know when this one dates from, probably the 70s. I would think. But yeah, it's still used today because when you've got guests, they can sort of have a brew in the morning without, you know, going into the kitchen and waking everybody up or things like that. It's just a bit more like personal, or like a guest, you know, hotel, when you've got your own kettle and everything. So of course you don't have to wait for the alarm. As I said, it's got the tea now function, so you have just got a low wattage electric kettle in your room. But yes, still very much in use today. And if you can overcome, if you don't have milk in your tea, all is well. It's just trying to get the milk to last, especially in the summertime, overnight. You could probably put it in a thermos or something like that, but a little bit of preparation, and it's a bit more of something nice to wake up to.